Mike Bohn joined now by two of the best to ever do it in MMA. Kamaru Usman, former UFC welterweight champion. Henry Cejudo, former two-division UFC champion. Going to be talking about something pretty special here, as you can kind of see on their screen. These two amazing fighters launching a new podcast called Pound for Pound. You can find it on all your podcast platforms. A pretty amazing collaboration here. And Henry, I know you've done some podcasts in the past. You've had your YouTube channel and all that. So I just want to start with Kamaru in that sense, because this is kind of slightly new territory for you. Kamaru, just explain kind of how this came together and why you felt it was the right time for you to kind of move into the space.
I mean, new territory just because I guess because I didn't talk much in my professional career fighting. It's I'm still the same, you know. I'm not so talkative, but a lot of people have been requesting for me to do more stuff, as in whether it's breaking down fights, breaking down videos, and also they just want to hear my opinions and my reactions to certain things that's upcoming. So, you know, me and Henry have known each other for a long time, you know, kind of have a connection that most people might not know. So we felt like it was a good time to be able to, you know, team up and show all of you guys.
Yeah, and your analysis on the UFC on the desk and stuff has been incredible. You've been doing that for, you know, a few years now, off and on. Henry, he talks about kind of your past relationship. Why was this a venture and a partnership that you enjoyed, given your past with Kamaru and just your history kind of doing this type of things? Why did this get you excited?
Right, because I think the biggest thing, Mike, is literally getting two professional athletes, two former world champs, to literally come together, and you know, you know, we can agree to disagree. And I think a lot of times me and Kamaru could be in that position. So we try to give fun facts to the fans. We try to, you know, interview legends while they're being interviewed by legends. And I just sometimes I don't think people have that. You know, we're here to ask the hard questions. We're here to get to the truth. We're here to, you know, obviously we're still competing. We're still fighting. So that being said, you know, Kamaru's the one that approached me with it. I'm like, you know what, Kamaru, typically I don't like to do this stuff, but you know, the name says it. The name says it alone. You know, pound for pound, like we're two fighters who have done incredible things in combat sports. And I said, you know what, let's do it, man. I think you know, it's time for elite athletes to come together. And not saying like none of the other people, you know, like, you know, Bisping and Smith or whatnot. So, but I think it's just different. I think it's just a different juice, a different swagger when you got the former pound for pound, and obviously you got the greatest combat athlete of all time. And you know, we're here to tell the truth, the whole truth, Mike. Nothing but the truth.
Mike, he says he doesn't like to do this stuff. This is the king of cringe saying he don't like to do this.
Yeah, come on, Henry. We know you love this side of things. You see the great work you're doing on your YouTube channel, all that stuff. But Henry, you kind of went into it a little bit there, kind of the format, what the goals are here. When you guys were debating this and like what you wanted it to be, what was kind of the goal? Was it to share a little bit of more your story, more your insight? Or as you said, you're going to be interviewing some huge names on there as well. I know Francis Ngannou will be speaking to you guys before his big fight in Saudi Arabia next week. Is it kind of the goal to more share your thoughts on certain things and your insights, or to get it out of other people, or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. This gives you guys a chance to kind of get to know us more and more, because we're going to be, obviously, depending on what we're talking about each and every week, you're going to get to find out a little bit and uncover a little bit more about myself, about Henry, about our journeys all through the combat, you know, sports of being an athlete for 20 plus years. You're going to get to see that and uncover that over and over. And of course, our relationship and how we met and what's transpired since then. So I think it's a bit of both.
For sure. And I know, you know, some of these stories will be told on the podcast and all that type of stuff, but what do you guys kind of give me a little sliver of the story? Like, when did you first meet? When did this relationship first begin?
Yeah, I first met Kamaru Usman. This is back, we're both trying to make an Olympic team for 2012. And
Yeah.
We're at the Olympic Training Center, but I can already tell that Kamaru was in love with MMA more than he was wrestling. Because
whoa.
Him and anyways, you got this. You're gonna have to tune in, Mike Bohn, and actually watch, because you know we're gonna pretty much uncover like how we met and how is it that we both had desires of of competing at the highest levels in the UFC, in MMA. And then fast forward, like we both became champions at the same time. So it was something that transpired like you just wouldn't believe. So I think now moving forward, everything's kind of coming back full circle. And what I love about all of this too, Mike, is that we get an opportunity to really get interviews with nothing but the best. And we have Dana White that we're scheduling to get on with. We got Mike Tyson, we got Khabib Nurmagomedov, we got we just did Francis Ngannou. It's gonna be nothing but like big names, whether it's in combat sports or just celebrities in general. Just talk about the everyday life inside of the octagon, outside of the ring, and for some of the celebrities in and outside of the court. So however you want to cut it, slice it, and dice it. But I think
in the court, what are you? Whoa!
Who are you
talking about?
Hollywood.
I love that, and yeah, you guys have obviously a lot of great contacts, and I think this is kind of the future of media as well, as people like yourselves and your credentials getting into the space. Much to my chagrin, because you're taking away some of our time,
but it's not. But I don't want you to think it's just a podcast. It's not a podcast. This is a show.
Right.
This is a show where, I might just decide to choke Henry one day, and show you guys the technique of how I do the choke. So, or he vice versa. So this is a show that you're getting here and not just a podcast, but we're going to be having a lot of great guests on. And, this is something that we're about to venture in on right now.
And what do you think some of the challenges with this might be? I mean, are we going to see you guys together on the set like every week? Or I know, Kamaru, you spend time in Colorado and Florida, and Henry, you're kind of in Arizona and pop around to some different places. Are you guys going to always be able to make this in person, or is it sometimes going to be online together? And what happens in the event, one of you guys has a fight or something and it's, getting a few weeks out, or we still going to be trying to execute it during then? What do you think some of the challenges here are?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be that big of a challenge, because nowadays we don't have to both be right here. We could be remote, we could travel, to when we're with different guests. So I don't think that's going to be that big of a challenge. Obviously when someone has a fight, that becomes a little bit more of a challenge, because preparing for those fights are they take so much out of you. So obviously that's going to be the challenge, but it's just like life. It's just like our fighting careers. That's what we do. We take on challenges and we try to overcome them. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too, Mike, and to really do it right, like we do got to invest, and we do got to, being in person, it is a different feel. And I think obviously we both live in two different states. And I think, yesterday we shot our first show, and obviously I have to travel, was it close to 5 hours to get over here, but it's worth the travel, because it's, the key to making this successful is really bringing out the best in us, and bringing out the best in us. We're able to kind of bring the best content out for the fans and for all you people. So I think like just moving forward, obviously, like, the cool thing about, reaching the heights that we've reached, maybe not physically for me, but reaching the heights that we've reached as individuals, it's we get a lot of in with a lot of people, and a lot of people do respect us. And I think we're at that point. We're like, all right, man, fighting is not forever. And I think Kamaru knows that, man. Kamaru has been through, man, I thought I've had it hard. This man has, he started wrestling 2 years after me. But he's been through the ring a lot more than I have. But that being said, I think we're, and
it's not just about MMA. It's not just about fighting. This is something that we're doing just to be able to have that contact, to be able to talk to some of those amazing people and that we might be interested in. So obviously what we're both interested in right now is obviously in the business space and building a life outside of the cage, even though we're still at the height of our careers and we're still able to compete. So of course, one day we might bring in someone from the business world. I just want to be able to extract as much information as I can right now in the world before venturing out of just, fighting.
Absolutely. No, you guys clearly have a vision here, and it sounds well planned out. So I think, I would be surprised if it doesn't go anything other than incredibly successful for you two. So very happy that you guys are kind of laying this out. And just while I have you, obviously want to talk a little bit about what's going on with you guys. Henry, I know it's been, a little over a week or so since the fight. You've talked a little bit about it, on your YouTube channel and stuff, but sitting here right now, what's kind of like when you ask for your reflections, your feelings on what happened at UFC 298, what kind of comes to top of mind?
To say the least, Mike, I shit the bed, dude. I pretty much went in there and I shouldn't have, but I've, not necessarily trying to say that I underestimated Merab, but I thought a lot of my wrestling could get me through, even though I couldn't wrestle for that month. I had like a part 2 tear on my left groin. Ali, the whole team tried to talk me out of it. I'm just like, dude, I was scheduled to fight Cheeto. It was my shoulder. I was scheduled to fight this dude. Now it's this. It's like, what is it that I'm actually going to fight? But also have to consider to age, and it's different now. And I do gotta put myself in the position where I do gotta respect whoever it is that I'm actually fighting. Like I said, not saying that I underestimated Merab, but I almost felt like I overgot confident with what is it that I could do. But when you fight a guy with a gas tank like him, like you got to be holding 5 aces, dude. Like, 'cause if you think of, even if you watch like the first round, dude, I was tired. I won the first round, dude. I was like huffing and puffing in that first round. It was the level changes. It was the constant pressure. It was the him shooting in and going in for takedowns that it was able to just pretty much fatigue me, but it was partially to the growing issue that I had. And I signed up for the fight. I didn't want to pull out, and shit, I got picked up. I lost, man. I got dominated in that third. I got picked up like I was running through a damn fire, but it's what it is now. I think moving forward now, Mike, it's I can't go out like that. I did say if I lose this next fight, that I was going to retire, but fuck it, I don't want to go out like that. I just didn't want to go out like that. So I think now moving forward, I'd like to fight Brendan Moreno, and I want to get your take on that. I think I lost for the title. He lost for the title. He lost to the number 1 contender. I lost to the number 1 contender. Like, we're still both right there. We're still both good. But I think the time to really make this fight happen is, at Mexican Independence Day, September 16th. I think that's the time to really lay it down because it's a good Mexican showdown. You remember boxing with Morales and Barrera? You remember Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can even go to the extent of Floyd Mayweather, the American, versus Canelo, the Mexican. I think that a lot of people, don't like me. I am the heel to the Mexican community. I say the best way to do it with all the drama that we've had, the fact that I've helped Davidson beat Brandon Moreno is to do it live, and do a spectacle. You have to remember too, Mike, is this was Brandon's idea. I'm just accepting his challenge. Once I lost to Aljamain Sterling, he says, Henry, don't retire yet. F the belts. You can pull up that tweet too, Mike. F the belt, F everything. This isn't about that. Let's me and you fight. And after this fight, just like, all right, man. I was contemplating retirement, but I couldn't. Once I watched the fight, I knew the errors. I knew everything pretty much that happened. Just leading up to the camp, I just said, you know what? I want a tune-up fight. Let's go with Brandon Moreno. I'm a former flyweight. He's a flyweight. He struggles to make 125 pounds. Let's bring him up. Or I'm not opposed to a damn catch weight. I'm not opposed to maybe going down to 131 pounds if they want to make it happen. But he said, let's do it at 135 pounds where I don't got to cut weight. And neither does he. And let's get it on. Some good Mexican-American blood. What do you think, Mike? You like it or am I fucking crazy?
No, I like it a lot. I think it's a really good idea, honestly. I think people are kind of fatigued of seeing Brandon in that 125-pound title picture, and I think this would be kind of a good way to him to step out of that a little bit, let some other guys fight for that belt, and then you guys can kind of settle this thing. So
exactly. Yeah. Like my. So how do I pick the fight? How do I get this guy to reply? Can you help me, Mike? There's a lot of money to be made.
We can reach out to him, and it sounds like Ali is already kind of on the case. I know he talked to, I think, the Schmo the other day, and he said that they're somewhat interested, but maybe they think he's too small.
But that's the stupidest shit ever. Like, dude, I've known Brandon. Like, the dude struggles to make 125 pounds. He's too fucking big. It's time for him to move up. Look, I'm short, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks to make 125 pounds. This is the same reason why I went up. I think he'll become more successful, and I personally think he'll feel better. But like I said, I'm not even opposed to a catchweight if that's what he wants. If he wants to be a princess, the only thing that I'm saying is I'm just going back to his tweet and what is it that he actually said. And if you want to pull it up, he posted on his Instagram. You know what I'm saying? F the belts, F all of this. Let's fight at 135 pounds. Let's get it on. And the word he said, please. So I welcome it. I want it. I think we threw that at the Sphere. I think Dana White, I think Hunter Campbell, they may not like the idea because he's too small. But look at the storyline. It's too good. You can't have another Mexico night and just fucking feed all the Mexicans tomato cans. Like, no, like give this dude a freaking killer. He's a killer too, but I'm a killer too, and I want to kill him. I want to hurt him. And my biggest question is, Mike, Bohn, when you reach out to him, is he a Mexican or a Mexican?
Yeah, we heard that. I saw that in the original call out as well. I'm curious, just before we kind of move on to something else, with the groin, is that something that needs surgery, or like would you be fine by September? Is it just a rehab thing?
It's a rehab thing, man. It's a rehab thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't defend it. I couldn't wrestle, dude. Like this was going on. Like we have all this on footage too. You know what I'm saying? Just pulled it, man. So I can't. If you don't have your groin, you can't do anything. Particularly the wrestling position. That's kind of where the fatigue kicked in. And we're wrestling the whole time, but maybe we did over wrestle in the beginning where it kind of somewhat caused that. But going up against a machine like Merab, it's like, dude, you got to be holding 5 aces. And I kicked myself in the ass there a little bit because of how I performed. But at the same time, man, like I know what I've reached. I know the heights that I've reached, and I just got to accept it, take the L, and then come back. And I do want to run it back with Merab. I really do. Whether he has the belt or not, it's like I cannot allow that shit to happen like that. So, I do believe that when a victory over me with Merab, like he's gonna do easy work, whether it's Mr. 50-45 at Chito Vera or Sean, the freaking trans Barbie O'Malley.
When you're standing in the cage, Henry, after the fight and they're interviewing Merab, and I saw you take your gloves off and stuff, if you did get the mic, were you emotional in that moment? Would you have retired again? Are you glad in hindsight you didn't get it because you've now been able to think things through?
Yeah, which is pretty cool, man, because Hunter Campbell called him because he was kind of like, because I told him, I started saying thank you. Like I started getting emotional because to me, I've always been a winner, and everything I've ever done has anything that I've ever touched, Mike, has turned into gold. You know what I'm saying? I've always sacrificed. I've always put myself in the best position. I've always been honest with myself. You know what I'm saying? If there's one thing that you could say is like, dude, I do everything by the books, man. I will adjust. But at that time, I thank God Dana kind of fucking didn't give me the mic because I just want to say thank you. And I do, man. I respect the shit out of Dana White. I respect the shit out of my boss. And I don't take anything personal. I really don't, man, because I don't put people at that level. Because I know the shit that comes out of my mouth, and I don't take anything personal with anybody. But that being said, Mike, I'm happy he did it. I'm happy he did it. I think sometimes things fall in. I think sometimes things happen for a reason. And I think this is just a perfect matchup to set up me and Brandon. We're both, what are they going to keep doing? One more fight for Brandon gets a title shot again? It's like, come on, man. Like this is stupid to me. This is stupid to me that he hasn't even replied. I'm like, no, this was your idea. Let's make it happen. I asked to fight you in 2016. You denied. You called me out 2023. And I think now's the time. I think we do it, and I think we do it at the Sphere, and that's all there is to it, Mike. Like I just don't know what else to say or to do. He's either scared or fucking I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, let's give him a couple.
Man up, ho.
Maybe give him a couple days to respond. Maybe he's just licking his wounds. He's 0-3 fighting in Mexico now under the UFC, so maybe he's just a little sad on the heels of those.
He's gonna be 0-4 when he comes to Mexican Independence Day at the Sphere. You can tell him I said that too.
There you go. And Kamaru, I mean, this is obviously going to be a dynamic about the podcast too. You guys are going to get fights, and you're going to talk about them and talk about the results and stuff. Let's get a sliver of that. I mean, where do you feel Henry's at right now? Like, do you like this fight idea for him? Do you think he needs to go a different direction? What's your honest thoughts on where he's at career-wise right
now? Well, we actually just broke this down, and you'll find out. You'll see a lot more of it on our next episode of Pound for Pound. Yeah, we talked a lot about this and how this matchup. I mean, obviously, doesn't sound too bad, but it's one of those things where just like he was emotional after his fight, I'm sure Brandon is feeling some type of way about his fight right now. So, you got to give people a little bit of time to find that competitive juice again. And yeah, like I said, we talked about it on our episode of Pound for Pound. You got to go check it out and you got to go listen to it.
Okay, I love that. We'll leave some for the podcast, but we got asked, career-wise for you, Kamaru, just give us an update. I mean, obviously, you did the fight back in October. Very commendable effort on 11 days notice or whatever it was, but you've had some time to reflect. What are you kind of feeling right now? Do you have an idea when you want to fight? Which weight class we might see you in? What are you kind of feeling right now?
Yeah, that's I don't even like that statement. A very commendable effort, because that's what I do. I show up and I win. And so when that wasn't the case, it's tough, because I asked for that fight, and I asked for it. I talked about it several times when I wanted, just give me a fair shot to prepare and go out there and put my best foot forward. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I got the fight last minute, 10 days notice, had to fly all the way. I mean, you guys know the whole story, but it is what it is. And it was only 3 rounds, and I'm a championship level fighter. But, that was also one of the things that we talked about on our next episode. And also with now all these different guys calling me out, which I'm very flattered and, and honored, because those guys are all great fighters, great competitors. But I answered that on our next episode of Pound for Pound. So you want to get my answer, go check out the episode of Pound for Pound. Okay, I respond to all those call-outs.
I love it. MMA Junkie, move out the way.
Okay, I'll ask it in a slightly different way, Kamaru. I know fighting at middleweight, you were somewhat reluctant to move up because Israel Adesanya was holding the title. From all signs, they're going to do Dricus du Plessis versus Israel next. Does the outcome of that fight affect how you're going to think about which weight class you'll be competing in going forward?
It does play a factor. Yes, a bit. Because I'm sitting right up there. I mean, it's not like, I'm jumping in the top 15 slowly and fighting 14 and 13 and 12. No, I'm right up there. So it's one of those things. Had Sean Strickland stayed the champion, I mean, it's a no-brainer fight. Myself and Sean Strickland have fought before. That made sense, but unfortunately, that's not the case now. So yeah, obviously if they do Adesanya and du Plessis, makes sense. Yes, though obviously the winner of that would the outcome of that would kind of play a factor in my decision. But like I mentioned before, well, I teased a bit about it. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Chimaev he wants to be a championship fighter. He wants to fight championship, wants to be a championship level fighter. Why not do a rematch of that for 5 rounds? Everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted to see that. But it is what it is, but there's a lot of different factors that have to take place here with the championship fight. And, and also I'm not opposed to going back down to welterweight and taking that strap. I'm a fight away from there. So we'll see what happens in the title picture. Right now, I'm just chilling and seeing what's going on, letting my body heal. But I know you see what you did there. You went around and asked the exact same question, But like I said, Mike Bohn, go listen to the next episode of Pound for Pound, and you will get our answers.
Dig that. And one more for you, Kamaru. They were talking about when they were going to make the UFC 300 main event, they called like 3 different people for Leon Edwards, and seemingly none of them were Belal Muhammad. Do you think, in all fairness, like does that need to be the next welterweight title fight, or do you think they're going to go in a different direction?
Oh, that's funny. I don't believe none of them was Belal Muhammad. I think they did try to make that fight potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't know why they wouldn't try to make that fight. So it is what it is, though. I mean, it's one of those things where the company the company has to do what's in the best interest for the fighters and for themselves. So if that's not the direction they felt, and I'm of course I would want to know why they wouldn't do that, because that's the easy that's the easy layup right there. You know, that's the easy one to make. But if they don't, it is what it is. Maybe they're waiting for Belal to fight me first. So who never know? You know, UFC, things can happen like that. Like, look at what happened to UFC 294. Look at the changes that happened within a week. So you never know. But Mike, I'm also curious why, MMA Junkie's not covering this week. We have the AKA promotion in Africa, Nigeria. It's going on, and they're not getting no coverage. Professional fights going on down in Nigeria, and they're not getting no coverage, Mike. What's going on? Who's running that Mickey Mouse operation over there at MMA Junkie? Huh? What's going on with that?
Hey, there's a lot of fights to cover, but does this promotion air on Fight Pass as well?
No, it's not on Fight Pass. So does it have to be on Fight Pass for you guys to cover it? Is that what you're saying?
But it gives us, a little bit of exposure. But hey, man, if you want to put us in touch with someone, if you have a good storyline, we're always happy to do things.
Of course, we got some amazing fights. We got some amazing fights happening at AKO3, happening this weekend.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out
Lagos, Nigeria. So you better check that out, Mike. I'm gonna be asking you some questions.
Kamaru, I'm just trying to figure out it. I'm just trying to figure out if Mike Bohn's getting a cutback from the UFC because it's got to be on Fight Pass.
not at all, but obviously it makes it easier to access. And but Kamaru, give us the details, and we'll do our best to give it some push and stuff. Happy to
of course, but make sure you go check out this. Our show, Pound for Pound. It's gonna be one of those shows that's not not just a typical MMA show. It's or a combat sports show. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We're going to be talking about ourselves because there's a lot online about us right now. There's a lot of memes online about Henry and myself. So, you tune into the show and check it out. All right.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you both one last question before we take off here. I really appreciate the time. And it kind of relates to the Pound for Pound name. What makes a great pound for pound fighter? It's, obviously some of these guys move up, move down, showing that you're not only the best in your weight class, but potentially other ones. And there's this trend right now that, it's seemingly every champion, they get the belt, they don't even defend it. They want to move up. They're calling out this person. Kamaru, you were the ideal champion. You fought every guy who was up next, the most deserving guy, where you were active, everything like that. Henry, your story, you beat one of the greatest of all time. You allowed a champion from a different division to come down and fight you before you moved up. So I'd say you did it the right way as well. But you see this trend now that's very different. Everyone wants to go up, no title defenses, one title defense. What do you guys just make of that, kind of the difference in philosophy from how you establish your greatness, your pound for pound greatness, compared to the approach seemingly a lot of the champions now are taking?
Yeah, well, I think in my position, Mike, like I allowed TJ to come down. He wanted to go down to 125 pounds. So knowing that the UFC didn't want the champion from the lower division and then to eventually go up or whatnot. And then, you know what I'm saying? Have the champion that lost to the guy who was lighter. So I was guaranteed a title shot with the victory, from TJ. So and also, dude, beating a guy like Demetrius Johnson, 11 title defenses, like my situation, it was completely different, than everybody's else, because at least the guy at 135 pounds was on damn EPOs when he eventually came down. So I felt like I fought the same guy. But anyhow, I mean, that being said, I think but that's the UFC for you, man. Like even like Alex Pereira, like he could have defended his belt a couple more times. It's almost like he was rolled the red carpet to eventually go up to 205. You know what I'm saying? Which I mean, it worked out for him, but he also needs to kind of defend his belt at 185 pounds. But that's not, he's no longer going to be there. But at 205 now, he's going to go up against Jamal Hill. I mean, I can see Alex Pereira, according to everything that you're saying, I can see him eventually going up at heavyweight. I think the UFC would just kind of just roll with that storyline.
Mike, I think it's, it's just kind of how the societal norm right now, kind of how the sport's going, that everybody wants to be just a big superstar. And so they're trying to just call out the next guy and the next guy and just be superstars. But it is what it is. I don't knock it, but for me, I came in where it was, you wanted to be a champion. You wanted to really establish your dominance, that you're the champion in this division, not when you have a plethora of contenders that are at any given moment could be champions, like the situation at what bantamweight. Like there's there's a lot of good guys at that weight division that could potentially be champions. And then you look at, I think I've heard welterweight Edwards wanting to go up and challenge for that belt. And it's like, bro, you got 1 or 2 defenses, or some of the guys have no defenses and they're calling out guys from different divisions. Like, stake your claim, run through all the guys. For me, I wanted to run through all the guys. And then, had Israel Adesanya not been the champion at middleweight, I probably at that point would have entertained going up to middleweight. But, instead I stayed and I tried to run through the guys again. So I think, maybe these guys need to kind of just stay put, defend your belt a couple times. You could still be that superstar. Like guys like Sugar Sean O'Malley, I think you could still be that superstar. He is that superstar. Look at guys like the new champion, Ilia Topuria. His kid's a superstar already. And you could still be that by running through the guys in your division. Look at Volkanovski. He ran through guys in his division and became that superstar. Or Israel Adesanya. So, I think these guys need to just kind of stay put a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. They can do it however they want to do it. I think it's all great for the sport. As long as they put on great fights, we're going to watch. We're going to be entertained.
Yeah. So Mike, let me ask you a question, since, we can put you on our damn podcast for a second.
Okay.
So what's your take? Are you bringing this up because of Ilia Topuria? You bring this up because of Islam Makhachev? Because I feel like Islam Makhachev, I think with 2 fights, I think he should go up. And I think Javier Mendez kind of hit the nail on the head. He fights the winner of Oliveira and Sarukian, and then I think he fights Justin Gaethje. I think he easily goes up. But now for Ilia Topuria, there's too many guys at featherweight for him. It's almost like he almost kind of skipped the line to the belt by just fighting Josh Emmett. And no pushback on Josh Emmett, but he's lost to a lot of people. I think for him, dude, he needs to personally, and I've said this before, I think he needs to get out of 145. I'm sorry. I think they should cut get Max Holloway out of the fight with Justin Gaethje and give him that fight in Spain. You fight a guy like Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is a dude that will hurt you, and you will not be the same. He's done it to Tony Ferguson. He's done it to a lot of people. Like it's lights out when you fight a guy like Justin Gaethje. I think sometimes you probably got to save these dudes from themselves. And if I'm in that position, if I'm Dana White, the UFC is like, hey, go through Max Holloway. Go through the what is it, Movsar? Yeah, and I think he defends it a couple more times. I think he's gonna have his handful if he does decide to go up. But the celebrity status, what these guys bring now, it's different. It's different when you carry that juice. And I think, where do we keep the sport to where it's not just to where it's still competitive, to where it's still pure, rather than competitive but with entertainment side? And I think that's where my question is for you.
Yeah, and that's the
before you answer, I don't share his sentiments completely with what he just said.
Which is why you're gonna have a great podcast.
I do agree. I mean, if the UFC could pull Max Holloway, I do agree that's a great one for Spain. That's a new market for them. That's a great way to break into that market with 2 guys that are actually featherweights. But like, I don't agree with the rest of the stuff. Like, because even going down,
you want your boy Justin Gaethje to have a big night at UFC 300. I totally understand.
Yeah, but at the same, and Justin, you're right. Justin is a killer at lightweight. But even going back down to featherweight, Ilia Topuria is a killer. So it's not, both guys are tough. But I do, for the company's perspective, on their perspective, I do believe, it would be great if you pull Max Holloway. But Max Holloway, is no slouch, so let's not sleep on him. But if you're gonna do that, UFC, you heard it here first. Go ahead and break my boy just to get you off something proper, to sit and wait for that title shot.
Yeah, and just to answer Henry's question, I mean, I don't think it's specific to Ilia Topuria, but I think that's put a spotlight on it. Like, if we go through the champions, Alexandre Pantoja, 1 title defense. He said he has a beef to settle with Sean O'Malley from a sparring session. He wants to move up. Sean O'Malley's saying, if Topuria won, I'm moving up. I'm going to fight him. Topuria said, I want to fight Conor McGregor. I want to fight these guys. 1 title defense. I want to fight Islam. I want to fight Habib. Islam is saying he wants to fight Leon. Leon is saying he wants to fight Dricus. Dricus is saying he wants to fight Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is saying he would move to heavyweight to fight Tom Aspinall or whoever. So you literally don't have anyone in their division saying they want to fight the guy. It's one thing, Kamaru, I know you said, I'd go to light heavyweight to fight Jan Blachowicz, but it's one thing to say it and always.
That was a one-off. That was a one. That was like, that was a one. I even said it. I'm not crazy. That's a one-off. That I just like that fight. Yeah, I'm not trying to deal with all the killers in that division. I just like that matchup. And Jan is a killer himself, but I just like that. And I just wanted to do it because it's something that hadn't been done. And on top of it, I had cleaned out my division.
Exactly.
And I was running through guys twice.
You're an exception. And, that would be, if they offered you that fight, I'm sure you would have taken it, but they didn't. And what happened? They offered you the next guy who was deserving of your division and you took it. So it's one thing to, I guess, talk the talk and walk the walk.
So I have another question for you too then, Mike. So what about when my first retirement, right? This is back in 2020. I had defended my flyweight title and I had defended my bantamweight title. Do you think me going up to 135 pounds, you think that was earned on top of me becoming a gold medalist? This is just, you could be honest with me. Shoot me straight. Should be right in between the eyes.
No,
because, because you could in combat sports, just respectfully, because I feel like I've earned it.
No, so just to clarify, you mean when you moved up to 35 to fight for the vacant belt, not when you were talking about going to 45?
Once I defended my belt at 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, could that have been a ticket to get to 145 pounds because I defended it at this division, I defended it at that division. And you know what? Maybe, Alexander Volkanovski is short as hell too. Like,
I think if you didn't retire and, I know the original fight where you beat Dominic Cruz was supposed to be Aldo. If you had fought Aldo next and didn't retire and beat him, you would have had a very easy claim to say, I just beat the greatest featherweight of all time. Let me go up and get that belt now too. And who knows where Volkanovski would have been at. I think you would have had a very clear thing. The first 3 divisions, simultaneous champion, like all that stuff, I think would have been there. But I understand you had your reasons for retiring and all that stuff. But yeah, I think you might have had to win one more fight, 2 more fights, but I don't think that was out of your reach by any stretch.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Right,
beautiful.
Mike.
Well, this has been awesome. You've taken so much time. I didn't know I was going to be getting interviewed here too, but maybe one day I come on the podcast for real. But I have a feeling, and I know you two guys are going to make this very successful. So for anyone watching, listening, you can get this. It's every Thursday, right? Episodes drop?
Yeah, every Thursday. You can listen to it on Apple, Spotify. You can watch it on YouTube. It's gonna be being dropped like every week. We're gonna have a special guest, and obviously we're gonna be talking just content like breaking news. What is that's going on? So every single Thursday, you guys will see an episode from the Nigerian Nightmare and the Triple C. So tune in. Tomorrow, our first episode drops.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have you on. Have your people call our people, and we'll see. We'll we got a long list.
Let's go, boys. Now I'll see you at an event, I'm sure, sooner than later in person. So thank you guys so much for the time, and have a great rest of your day. And congratulations.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, see you guys.